Libras, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for May 9th through the 15th of 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link because the signs are different. So Libra, this week we have a lot of supportive aspects collectively in the sky. Of course, this is all what we make of it, and this is just the collective energies. Our personal charts do matter most, of course, but I think collectively there is this the support to take action, to move forward. Now, even though a lot of planets are retrograde, Jupiter is going direct, which I'll talk more about, but things are reflective, and there's retrograde energy. And so it's good to be flexible. It's good to be malleable, to try new things at this time, but still continue to move forward, because that last new moon was in Aries, and that's been in your 7th house. This is the house of relationships. In fact, I think you've been focused on relationships lately, whether it's romantic, friends, otherwise, one-to-one connections, maybe some of you legal matters or contracts or business dealings. So that's the continuous new beginning, because that's where you had the new moon. So this week, taking action with that, but yet learning about relationships, both because Mars is retrograde, who rules the 7th, and Mercury's retrograde there. All right, so trying new things, experimenting, etc., being flexible, learning. All about one-to-one connections. Now, a lot of these aspects that you see this week, it's actually quite simple. It's that the Sun, Venus, and Mercury are all forming this kite in the sky. And this is the same kite of the last new moon. So this kite is involving essentially your air houses, which is going to be that Jupiter direct in your 11th. And so at the beginning of the week, you're going to probably notice that shift of your aspirations, seeing more of what's possible with your hopes and wishes, your aspirations. Some of you maybe with group things or community things. And then also over here in your 3rd house, there's been over many years this transformation occurring with your mind and your communications, of particularly letting go of old attachments to communication, to the mind. To a lot of times too what the mind associates with, the ego associates with, which is the perspectives of self, but just the perspectives in general, the outlooks. So over many years, it's been very important for you to have non-attachment to what you say, what you think about, having that observation of the mind. But this week, it's very supportive for deep changes with insight, deep changes with the mind. All right, maybe making some changes too. Through that letting go there's with Pluto always space. And the space then is maybe more mental energy, more communicative energy, but to maybe learn new things, maybe write, whatever it is that I think is transforming for you personally. So that's the air grand trine of it. Now, the kite side is that it's sextiling up to Neptune in your 5th. So also on a more spiritual note, as you've been letting go of your self-expression, there's been a tremendous amount of peace and tranquility really coming about from that. Also letting go in terms of your interests, things that are close to the heart. Having a more laissez-faire, detached perspective does give you peace here. And I think it's a great week for finding the peace that comes from surrendering and letting go in terms of the playful stuff, the fun stuff, or expressing yourself. So that's the kite formation, but I think the big emphasis is going to be here on relationships, especially because we have your ruler over here in the 7th and that last new moon here. Okay, so I think it's great to still be cultivating new relationships, cultivating existing relationships, yet learning more about them, etc. There could be, as you let go, as you detach from those perspectives, let go of those old belief systems, those old patterns, that could be directly supporting the relationships. Good deep communication could be available. Good intimacy there with Pluto. And with these shifts, with Jupiter going direct this week, and all this new, more outward perspective of what's possible with your aspirations, or maybe with these new shifts in terms of opportunities to get in contact with community or online things or friends or your networks. That's the more external side of it, but the more internal side for all of you should be the shift of aspiration. So those aspirations are directly supporting the relationships. All right, seeing things from that more top-down perspective of what's possible. And this has been the whole new life path shift for you. So very supportive there. One thing I do want to say about Monday with that Jupiter going direct is that the sun is going to be conjoining up to Mercury. So I think you guys are rethinking about, like I was saying, the communication stuff in those relationships. But there can be a lot of, around Monday, perhaps a lot of passion, a lot of strong mental energy or strong communicative energy with those interpersonal relationships. So it's good to have the extra attention on the mind there. Have the extra attention on the communication. That's already the case because of Mercury retrograde. But with Mercury in front of the sun, that sun can really get very passionate with your ideas. It can make you very passionate about what you're saying. And that can we can run away with that sometimes. So it's good to have that attention. Right? It's a neutral type of aspect. But that's one way I've found that you can actually work with it constructively with that extra attention. Because then all those passions, all those insights, are more known, right? Through presence, through that awareness. You can even write them down, and that kind of stuff could help too. But again, it's well aspected, so I think it's going to directly support perhaps some insights about aspirations, perhaps some insights about how you communicate, etc. So that's that conjunction. Then as we go through the week, the trines start. Venus trining up to Jupiter. Venus being a ruler with this one, you guys could be feeling quite transformed this week. In fact, it's a big transformation happening with you guys, I think. I think there has been. But here there could be something new, something shifting with you. And I think the more open you are to diving deep with self, and again, letting go of those old patterns, that can be very transformative, very liberating, in fact. This will be specifically on Tuesday. As we go through the rest of the week, Mercury will be trining up to Pluto, going into the weekend. So your worldview could be changing. Your more meditative approach to life could be changing. You could have a bit more of that easygoingness that you're learning about with that Mercury retrograde. You're also rethinking about your worldview, your philosophy, your adventurous spirit. It's good to be adaptive with that. Then there's that conjunction with Mercury and your ruler, Friday going into the weekend. So here you guys could be perhaps quite communicative again, or more mental again. It could be external or internal. And so with that extra attention there, I think here though, just learning more about self, learning more about how you communicate, who you are, even relationships. Again, very strongly emphasized, all in that 7th house. Maybe even some new beginnings in a sense, continuing from that last new moon there. Then as we go into the weekend, into next week, the sun does shift into your 8th. So this is preluding next month, which is going to be the next new moon in your 8th house of intimacy, of depth, of what really matters in life. So with the sun here, your focus, I think, is shifting into more of the deeper side of things, or intimacy in relationships. And so I think it's a great weekend for just that, for connecting in that deeper way. Connecting in a deeper way primarily with you, of course. All right, that's where it all starts. But good weekend for that. Good weekend for research, diving deep in general with that shift. And really examining what really matters. So that's the week in a nutshell. Strong emphasis, I feel like, on the fact that your ruler is a big part of these new beginnings. So there's a new you continuing this week. Good to cultivate those goals and aspirations of yours. Definitely that shift of aspirations, even opportunities perhaps, that Jupiter going direct again. Deep change with the psyche, with the communicative side of things, all supporting these new beginnings with relationships, one-to-one connections, which you are learning about. It is reflective. It's good to be flexible, but still new beginnings nonetheless. All right, so Libra, have a fantastic week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.